I remembered?
What?
That you used to be able to subscribe to a comic book
Yeah.
and get issues delivered in the mail.
I loved that. I used to get Amazing Spider-Man in the mail. I think I got an X-Men, but it was mostly Spider-Man.
If you think about it, now that we have disposable income, I would totally do that. I would totally subscribe to probably 5 or 6 different titles, and they are blowing it.
You know what's funny is every time I buy like a box set, a re-release of an album that I love, the Rolling Stones did a like 50th anniversary of one of their albums or whatever, and it's a box set, but it comes with extra tracks. It's expanded. I usually don't go for like the $100 one, but I'll get like the 30 to 40 one or whatever. And every time I buy a box set, I'm just like, I am the market for this. A white guy in his 40s with disposable income. Like, this is keeping the box set business. I am keeping the box set business along with all my compatriots in business. And these are just things I wouldn't have got when I was a kid because I just couldn't afford it, you know. There's a Blondie box set that just came out, and I like Blondie, and it collects their first 6 albums. But, you know, I like the artwork and all of the liner notes, and they get me every time.
I'm like technology in that way. Like, the next iPhone's about to come out, and I'm so excited to get it.
That's a little harder for me, though, because the technology is like fucking $1,000. Like, that is expensive. Do you just pony up for that, or do you got to pay it off after a little bit? That's different.
No, I do the whole Verizon pay for it.
So that kind of sucks. Bill. So that's the one thing that turns me off from that. So that doesn't get as crazy because I'm just like, well, I don't want to be paying for it every month.
You get strategic. Like, I skipped last year's new phone, and I just canceled like 3 lines, and so like I'm ready. Like, I'm prepared.
I've been thinking about space and time a lot after reading 2001: A Space Odyssey. I finished it up. I was reading it anyways, and then you happened to bring up that we should do it as a watch party, and I'm like, oh, good. And it's a pretty easy read. I would even consider it a novella, which I think is a way to go if you're an author. You should just write novellas. Nobody wants to read a whole novel. Because
they wrote it after the movie, right?
Here's the quick history. Stanley Kubrick wanted to do something with Arthur C. Clarke, who was kind of a famous sci-fi author at that time, but writing books since like the 40s, maybe 40s, 50s. This is like mid 60s. So Kubrick was like, what do you have that could work as a movie maybe? And he had written this short story called The Sentinel. So he took The Sentinel and was like, well, maybe we can expand on this and make this into a movie. And Arthur was like, oh, okay. So then they started to work together. So he turned The Sentinel into the book 2001: A Space Odyssey at the exact same time Kubrick was making the film. And then he had the book done when the movie was done, but they released the movie first. And then a couple months later, they released the book. The book is pretty much the movie, except it just explains a lot more. And it takes its time instead of skipping over things. And then it has a couple things that are different. And Kubrick, and it was really just Clarke wanted it this way, even though Kubrick didn't agree. He's like, well, that's your book, so if you want to write that, go ahead. But I'm not going to do it that way in the movie. And he'd be like, yeah, okay, fine.
That was a great intro, so we might as well just go and say hi, everyone.
Figured I'm always segueing, you know.
Yeah. Welcome to this very special episode of Aaron and Justin Talk Sequels. I'm Justin.
I am Aaron.
What are we doing today?
I think I didn't look back at what we had called our Shining episode, but I think we just called it Watch Party.
You are the one who named that.
I know.
Was not me.
I should look
And
quick.
You made that decision, and I loved it so much.
I made that decision without you, and you just went with it anyways, as it should be.
When it's a fantastic idea, that's what you're supposed to do. There's no room for hubris.
Because a good idea is a good idea forever.
That's exactly right.
That's what Ricky Gervais said in one of the episodes of the original The Office.
Oh my God. Anyway, I famously have a hard time understanding anything that Stanley Kubrick was trying to say. And Aaron's always been more of a fan than me, but I've been a respecter is the best way to say it.
Right. And I would never go on record as saying I understand better than your average movie watcher, but maybe I've given it a little more time to try to understand. So maybe I have a different perspective that maybe is closer to what he imagined. I don't know.
He's politely saying that to really have an appreciation for Stanley Kubrick, you have to read about 6 other compendiums to each movie.
That's true. I've read an autobiography or a biography about him. I've read another biography about him that was more focused on his films instead of just him as a man. And then I've read this huge, like, awesome compendium of all of his films and how they were made. And then I've watched documentaries about him, and I've watched every film except Barry Lyndon. I still have not sat down for.
I know, and we own Barry Lyndon, and I haven't watched it either. So without having the knowledge, one day I wanted Aaron to watch The Shining with me and just explain to me what was happening. So we turned that into an episode, more of a traditional commentary, but we called it a watch party, where we just sat down, recorded ourselves watching the damn movie. We only did this with the sequel, or we had the next episode be the sequel. What the hell was the name of that sequel?
Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep. And we are going to do the same thing today by watching 2001 A Space Odyssey. And then our next episode will be the sequel, 2010 Daddy's Home, or whatever it's called.
Daddy's Home. 2010, the year we make contact.
Yeah, Daddy's Home. Yep.
Wouldn't that have been amazing in 1970, whatever it came out? 2010, Daddy's Home. Fantastic. There's actually 2 more books in the 2001 thing. There's 2061 and then 3001, The Final Odyssey. I'm not sure what the other subtitle is of 2061. But...
And they've done a lot of talking about adapting them, and I don't think it's actually ever directly gone anywhere, has it?
No. And I own 3001, The Final Odyssey. I think my parents bought it for me 20-some years ago, and I've never read it because I was like, well, I probably should read first 3, and I never got around to it, except now, hey, I read the first one, so now I just got to get the other 2, and then I'll be a reader of the 4 books.
I love when parents like pay attention to your interests and buy you stuff that you genuinely kind of like.
But they get it wrong.
Well, like, she bought me the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird, and I have not read it either.
But you haven't read To Kill a Mockingbird either.
Yeah, I've read the shit out of To Kill a Mockingbird.
That's not the same thing then, because they bought you the sequel. But that she knew to buy is your point.
Yeah, like, I like that parents can pay attention.
Yeah, because it's a little obscure.
It's amazing how many authors were one and done.
Oh, she's probably the most famous, though. She only wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, right? And then this Ghost Set of Watchmen is basically, from what I understand, kind of a original draft of the book, but it's so different that they were able to like finesse it into a sequel.
Yeah, I've always understood that there's a lot of problems with the sequel. There is the classic heirs cashing in on the legacy thing.
They can't help it. That's why like Mary Poppins comes out, and the author of Mary Poppins could not stand the Disney movie that Walt Disney made, so she refused to let them make a sequel. She dies the next year. The family sold the rights, and then they were able to make Mary Poppins Returns with Emily Blunt. But this is the same way, isn't it? Because didn't Harper Lee pass away, and then all of a sudden there's this new book? Yeah.
It's the same with Salinger. He had 4 total collections published and then just became a hermit. Never stopped writing. He apparently has a large body of work, and I think there's a plan to release it.
And from what I understand, where they lived, the community was so supportive of him and protective of them that they wouldn't let people fuck with him. Like reporters would try to come and find him, and they would like get in the way. Like fishing communities somewhere in Nova Scotia would like shoot reporters like in the dirt to try to like get him to run away. He's ours. You can't touch him. You know.
Then you would start getting worried if you were that reporter. Like, is he being held hostage?
Yeah, he basically is.
All right, we should hit play.
Yeah, we should. All right, so I'm gonna hit play on HBO Max. That's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Because at the time of this recording, it is on HBO Max.
Pause it and then just take the cursor and go back to 000.
Okay.
We're gonna go 3, 2, 1, go, and on go we're gonna hit play. Are you ready?
Yeah. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, that was so seamless.
MGM logo.
I kind of missed
That's a weird logo.
I kind of missed the line.
Is that classic?
In my face right now. I already hear some rumblings.
Amazon owns MGM. And
yeah, it's not fucked
I
up.
believe that's right. Oh, the music?
Yep. So he had somebody create all of the music for this. All right, like he had an actual composer, and then he didn't use any of it, and just grabbed all of this classical stuff that was already, out there. This being one of them.
This was already out there?
Yeah, this was not made for the movie, but it's now obviously inseparable from it.
Yeah. I forgot. I have not watched this movie in probably 20 years.
Well, that's good. That's fun.
But real quick, the MGM logo has some Latin on it. And now that Amazon owns them, they Uh, they translate it, which is fun.
What's it say?
2001: A Space
Oh, no,
Odyssey.
I know what it says. Yeah, e pluribus unus or something like that.
It's hard to hear you now.
Well, I did turn the audio down in HBO Max.
What? The music is so loud.
I'm keeping you up so I can hear you, but I did turn the audio down on the actual browser in HBO Max. But still, yeah, that was loud. But what a beginning, right?
Yeah, that was like shocking.
I know.
Anyway,
so now,
MGM logo.
Now we're at the
art
dawn of man.
For art's sake.
Art for art's sake. That's right. I knew that. That's so not classy if they turned it, if they took away the Latin in order to make it in English.
Well, like,
how lame is that?
They hovered it above it, and then they brought it back to Latin.
I see. Okay.
I just watched the new Sylvester Stallone superhero.
Oh, the
movie,
Unbreakable.
Samaritan.
That's what it looks like, right? No, Unbreakable. It's like Stallone's doing the Bruce Willis Unbreakable movie. It's not good.
No, it was entertaining,
Yeah.
but it was like some movies are still like 50s B movies. Like this is just a modern B movie.
That's fun.
Yeah.
So this is all real footage, right? He had teams go out and shoot deserts and stuff.
You mean it's not CGI?
This is not CGI, but
this exists
when we
somewhere?
see the actors here pretending to be early man, hominids or whatever you want to call them, Neanderthal. It's even before Neanderthals. They're like super early ape ancestor almost. They do it's a set, but it's rear projection, rear screen projection, because Kubrick famously didn't shoot anywhere but in England. So this is all projection behind them, and it's a set that they're sitting on, and it looks pretty good, I thought. But like this is probably real, you know. So it was like cut and paste. But again, I can't say that is a projection completely, but I believe it to be. There's like kind of a separator line you can see, just the way it kind of looks. But it's damn good. Anyway, so these are just actors pretending to be early human ancestors. Nowadays, they probably would have CG'd the mouths, right?
Yeah, those animals actually look like bad CG.
But they don't get close enough to like make it look too bad. But I feel like
Which
it's
is
believable.
smart.
But already, like, what's your feeling with the movie? Like, are you already bored? Because I could see how people would be. And sometimes I am too, because it's silent, right? And you're just watching these things graze and eat.
I mean, there's a level of curiosity that goes on. Like, you want to know what the monkey's going to do.
Yeah.
Are they going to get pissed at these pigs and kill them?
Well, the point that they're getting to...
Oh, shit! Oh!
I guess fucked. Take that. Lion just attacked.
Okay, how did he do
cheetah.
that, though?
Well, I think that was an actual cheetah attacking.
I definitely don't think it was CGI.
No, it was just a trained animal, I'm sure.
Okay, that's going to be a running joke in this movie, as long as we're clear, because there was no CGI.
There was no CGI. The point they're getting to is that these things are at the mercy. They're not the top of the food chain, right? Like they're scared. They're just grazing berries and other shit that they can find, and they're getting attacked by cheetahs, you know, and they're getting killed for meat for other animals. And then there's like warring factions of early man ancestors, gangs, roving gangs and stuff. They don't like each other. I wonder if this is getting picked up in our mics. It's so loud.
This is another moment where the audio is loud enough where I can't hear anything you're saying.
Well, turn it down. Turn it down in the app because there's no dialogue for the next 20 minutes.
Oh, duh. I never thought about turning it down.
That's what I was telling you. Just turn it down in the actual browser.
It was so loud I couldn't actually hear you say that until
Oh,
now.
gotcha. Great. Well, that's
All right,
going to be
I
now
turned
our podcast is going to get blocked because clearly, I know what the song is called. The original song, the first song. It's called "Thus Sprach Zathura," I believe. Like "Thus spoke Zeus" or something like that is what it means. Now our mic's going to pick that up.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's the song, the famous song off the top of the movie. That's what it's called. Thus spoke Zathura.
I accidentally just lost a couple seconds by turning on closed captions just so you
Why
know.
the fuck did you do that? What second are you at?
7:13.
Yeah, okay, well, yeah. You're far behind. I'm about 5 seconds faster than you.
So that leopard with the glowing eyes, I like that.
Yeah. And I think it's just because they have studio lights on it, right?
Assuming.
Like it wouldn't glow like that in normal without a light shining on it.
But, I mean, that's such a decision that he made.
Possibly, yeah. But I think the rear projection looks good. It's definitely, I mean, you don't want to leave. You don't want to go on location and go sleep in shitty hotels and eat crappy food. So you just stay at home and have people make sets for you. I want to shoot on sets. That's my dream. I just want to do a movie completely on sets someday.
Yeah, it does sound really nice.
Because I'm tired of going to people that own real things and convincing them to let me shoot movies there and stuff. It sucks. Location scouting is the worst.
I don't know how he did these mouths.
I think it was just when the actors opened their mouths, they had it so it would open the outside mouths as well. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they're really good costumes. What year was this?
68. So he was shooting it from 66 to 68. But there's a real little baby monkey in there.
Was there?
Yeah, for the infants.
So they're all
Cute.
scared of the leopard. Too scared to even go to sleep. So they finally fell asleep on their own.
Now this
In its
particular
intent.
one, his name is Moonwatcher in the book and even in the screenplay. And he sees something. He's like, what the fuck? Something's different. You hear the music? Oh, it's getting freaky. And there it is. The monolith.
Okay, so a big black thing appears.
Yeah, this is a big stone. Incredibly black. Impossibly black. Clearly designed and built by a higher intelligence. And now it's sitting in the middle of the desert, freaking all these early human ancestors out. What is it doing there? Nobody knows.
It looks animated.
It does. But it's just so black and constructed that way. But it's really there.
Is that Moonwatcher at the bottom?
Probably.
Okay, so he touched it.
It's just freaking out.
And the concept here is that it sparks evolution, it gives them intelligence.
See, there you go. I mean, that's basically what I've always taken from it, and reading the book supports that knowledge as well. I think most people understand that. Although you don't, it takes another 5 minutes to really figure that out. But
Oh.
yeah, I think it's pretty clear.
The funny thing is if this movie was made today, there would like be CGI electricity shooting off of it into the apes.
Maybe.
And then there'd be a narrator explaining exactly every second of it.
But really, like, you know, this part is amazing to them. But we'll find out just in the very next scene how now they're just used to it. And it's just sitting there. And they're just going about their day to day. Ooh, hard cut.
Yeah, it was a hard cut.
Just more landscape.
Back to chirping. Do you think he let B units do that?
Oh yeah, for sure. He had like trusted cinematographers that he would send out and get all of the stuff that he didn't need to be there for. So they're just foragers, you know, they graze and they forage, and that's how they barely stay alive. In the book, it's more detailed in that they just keep dying because they just cannot live. Like there's not enough food. There's not enough edible plants and stuff for everybody. So everybody's just sickly and dying, and the species is going to be extinct soon, if not for the monolith, giving Moonwatcher this push to evolve and figure out how to use a tool, basically. And that's what we're finding out now, is that he suddenly feels like this bone, this can be something. I can use this. Bam. Bam. Motherfucker! You're dying now. Yep, there you go. Now you're just killing warthogs or tapirs or whatever the hell those things are. We're eating good tonight, kids. So then they start killing animals, and they realize they can eat meat. So yeah, it's like the monolith gave them a little push, you know, to evolve.
Just a little push.
So all life on Earth, they're saying, is from this alien being, creatures that created this thing. That's what they're saying.
What do you mean, all life?
Well, like intelligence, the way
Okay.
we evolved. Evolution needed a little push to make us who we were today after millions of years. And if it wasn't for the monolith. It's actually, you know, it's similar to the Alien, the new Alien movies, right? In a way, like there's some outside species that came and planted life in a way. This life was already here, but if it wasn't for the monolith, it would have went extinct.
Well, the new Alien movies were that the aliens were a bioweapon that they wanted to ship to planets.
Right, but remember
just to,
Prometheus with the weird bulby white dudes? Like they were like
Yeah.
they were like seeding these dead planets with life. Wasn't that what was going on? The engineers or whatever they were called. They were basically creating life.
Now I don't remember, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're supposed to be the architects of
Right.
us. But I feel like
But the
never
aliens
really-
kind of weren't really in their plan, I don't think. It kind of got out of hand.
No.
No.
Wow. I don't remember if
Yeah.
they ever really finished off that whole we
I
made
think that's
people
kind of
storyline.
what people were angry about with those movies, is that it was even less defined than even 2001. That's why it kind of pissed people off.
Oh, the rival gang is
Yeah,
back.
so the gang's back, but now they're
Except
not
all these
scared
bitches have
anymore.
weapons.
Yeah. You're going down.
Yeah, this is our water source, bro.
Yeah, but this is like evolution, right?
check
You know,
this
I
out.
mean, like only the strong survive. So
Oh, you want to wave your arms? You want to wave your arms?
oh,
Okay, check this
that
out.
hurt.
Oh, oh, oh.
My turn. My turn. Shabam! You're dead, you fucker. And now
Why
the
is
rest
this
of
so
them,
funny?
they're getting it. They're like, oh, mother, holy, we got to get out of here. It's their water. Run! Run for your lives.
The subtitles just said, "They like cheetah. Run." No, it didn't. Just
Like, what?
making that up.
Now,
Yeah, they have subtitles for each of these grunts.
that's so funny. Now, coming up here, the most famous cut in all of cinema history, for sure. Boom. Cut like a couple million years to space.
That wasn't that good of a cut.
That's what's funny about it. It's famous, probably the longest cut of time in a movie ever, is what they like to say. But it's not that great of a cut. Like, in fact, he had to use 2 shots of the things flying up in the air. It wasn't that impressive to me.
Yeah. No.
Now, here's something that Kubrick didn't go into in the book, or in the movie, but the book does. Whereas this thing, in the movie, it's just a cool spaceship, and we don't really ever know what it is. We just see that it's a spaceship because clearly it's the future, 2001 or 1999 or whatever it's supposed to be at this point. But those are supposed to be bombs, like it's a bomb holder, that thing, because the Cold War is still going on in 1999, and the Soviets and the Americans have nuclear weapons in orbit. That's all they were trying to say.
Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. But Kubrick didn't really go into that, and there's not a lot of need to do it.
So what is that then?
This is just a space station.
Okay. And so this is Arthur C. Clarke, who had the hard sci-fi knowledge to, like, the whole rotation mimicking gravity thing.
Yeah, that's what's fun about the book
earliest...
is that it's not it's just very like he's very knowledgeable about space and the solar system and the way gases would be on planets and the way gravity would work and everything. It's a lot of fun. Like and a lot of his ideas weren't there were theories at the time because we hadn't really done too much in space, but a lot of his stuff he actually came up with kind of panned out, you know.
I love that that's Pan-American.
Mm-hmm. But even in 1968, shooting this pen and stuff and making it look like it's 0G, it's pretty good, you know?
Yeah, how the hell?
I don't know. I really don't know how they did that. It's just composite. Putting 2 different film strips together.
I mean, yeah, if the background's that blurred. See.
Velcro shoes, babe. I really don't know how they did the pen thing. Because she even grabs it. Like, what the fuck?
Clever. Color TVs that are that small? How did they do that?
I don't know.
Like, in reality, like, that had to have been really hard.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
not
and
possible
Kubrick
in
wasn't
that year.
above, like, reaching out to companies and having them build things for him, you know? He did that with movie lenses all the time. Like, he would call up Zeiss, which is a lens manufacturer, and be like, I want to do this, but you don't make anything that will let me do this. Can you guys get on that? And then they would, like, create something for him so he could actually shoot it the way he wanted to. So it wouldn't be beyond him to, like, call up Magnavox or Sony, whatever was around at that time, and be like, I need a color TV, but it's got to be this small. It's got to fit in there. And they'd be like, oh, okay, we'll get on that. But I think a lot of the stylistic choices he made for production design, like the IBM logo and just the way the panels are, I think they're very, you know, like it's not touchscreen just yet. Obviously, that's something they didn't think that would be in the future. but still it looks pretty streamlined instead of just a bunch of ugly knobs everywhere like Star Wars has.
Yeah, like all these movies always didn't seem to think that touchscreens were going to be workable back then.
Yeah.
But that was more Star Trek than anything in the clean and the screens and all of that. And that, wow. So Star Wars just straight ripped off that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's exactly how the
Death Star.
loading docks look.
Right. Got to go into a spin. So is it just not completed? Is that why it looks like this? Or that's the way the station's supposed to look? Maybe they're still working on it.
Oh.
Now, of course, making the movie in mid-60s and expecting this kind of technology to exist in the year 2001, that was a little far. That was a little, like they were a little too positive about how much advance we would make in 50 years. But
yeah,
less
it definitely
than 50
looks
years.
like like it's not finished.
Yeah.
I love that they had it match the spin. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm. I just love the models, man. You know, it's so clever. It's just so well done.
Without saying a word.
Yeah.
Has there been a line of dialogue yet?
No. But now there is.
So we're going to get dialogue 23 minutes in.
Mm-hmm. This is Dr. Floyd. And he wanted to shoot so wide, but he didn't want lights to be in the way, so they just came up with this thing where they would just have the ceilings and the floors be lit, which I thought was pretty clever. Christian name. And they even built like this on a slope, you know, so it would mimic the outside of the space station. Hilton Space Station. See Howard Johnson's, like they were accurate in that companies would sponsor everything, you know, in the future.
Yeah.
Like the Amazon space station we'll probably have someday.
It's true. Picture phone.
Yeah. This part is probably my most hated part of the whole movie. It's Kubrick's daughter. I just don't find it cute. I just find her to be kind of obnoxious in this part. Like she doesn't really care to shoot this thing. Hello. Yeah, whatever. I'm just annoyed by this.
Yeah.
I guess it's just because it's like, hey, 1960s audience would have never seen a picture phone, you know, aside from Jetsons or whatever. So maybe this is just entertainment in its own way.
Yeah, I bet you that was his gamble. Like the awe would overcome.
He just doesn't seem like her dad. I'm just not buying it. Right? He's like, he does not have kids. He's just like too lacking in personality in any sort of thing. I don't know. Or if he does have kids, he wouldn't be calling them.
Well, the funny thing is what makes this less authentic sounding is that it sounds too real. Like that's how most conversations with little kids go.
Yeah, right.
And so
you're right.
Kubrick went authentic with it when it should have been more like, Father,
Right.
when are you going to be home from the
Yeah,
moon?
you're right. I agree. It's not, some things like can't be too real or audiences won't buy it.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did they talk about have they colonized anything other than just the moon?
No, it's just the moon. They just have bases on the moon. This is Clavius base he's talking about. They haven't heard any word from Clavius. They really tried to get it out of him. That got awkward.
Yeah. So, we saw the list of countries.
Yeah,
So, I'm guessing that each country has their own base.
that's possible. Yeah.
Because these guys all seem European.
Yeah. There's just been a lot of wild talk about what's been going on because there's like a communication shutdown on Clavius space, and nobody knows what's going on. Nobody's been able to come and go. Clavius, I believe, being one of the meteor when a meteor crashes into something. You know what I mean?
One of the holes.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it on the moon. Clavius is one of them.
I don't remember this movie at all.
No,
He
in the book
actually
it's
goes
Tycho.
down to the moon?
Yeah, Tycho is the crater. It's a crater. Tycho's the crater where they head on the moon, but they call it Clavius Base. Maybe it's in Tycho. I don't know. Hey, look at the width of that screen, though. It's just 16 by 9 pretty much. Like, that's pretty accurate, right? It's not watching a 4:3 monitor.
That's funny. That's really true.
Yeah.
And they recorded in that format to project onto that. Oh, that's crazy.
But I love that, how that's how you would have to eat food in space.
Yeah.
So the famous thing he did to shoot the movie is that they built a turning centrifuge in the studio,
Right.
so they could keep the camera still or make it turn with it, whatever you wanted to do.
That I remember seeing pictures
Yeah,
of.
I love that. I mean, this had to have like blown people's minds when they first saw it. Like, how the fuck did he do that?
Okay, wait, what?
Well, the set's turning, but the camera's staying still. So she's just walking up the set as it's turning.
Wow.
Yeah. And of course, he made the stylistic choice to have no audio because space is a vacuum and audio doesn't survive in a vacuum, obviously. So, but that right there cuts out your appeal for a lot of audience members because you want to hear explosions, right? And you want to hear the jet or the engines of the spaceships and stuff.
It's true.
But he's just like, that's not space. Sorry.
And that's only kind of true.
Yeah, there's like
the vacuum.
some level of audio that can
Yeah.
overpower in space, but for the most part, you couldn't hear anything.
Obviously, where
Zero
there's
gravity
vacuum, there's no
toilet.
sound, but space is by far not empty. Zero gravity
Right.
toilet. Oh, I wonder. You probably could have paused on that and read all of the
Oh
instructions.
yeah, I'm sure
and
there
that's
was
fun.
so many instructions. It's pretty good photography of the moon.
We should have kept track of like how long the intervals between. This is a great movie to have a commentary on because shit.
Yeah, you don't miss anything.
That had to obvious. Duh. Never mind. I sound stupid. That moon model looks great. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm-hmm. It must have been fun to make all this stuff. I like model work. I wish I was better at it, or I wish that's all I wanted to do was work on models. But everybody just makes model railroads. Like, that's just all they do. And I'm just not interested in that. But I could get into models. This is a 40-year-old man speaking. I could see the next 20, 30 years of my life. Right? I could see the next 20, 30 years of my life. All of a sudden, I start building models. I mean, what the fuck? But it just seems interesting to me. Maybe it didn't before, but it does now. I built a model of a barn for my movie that I'm still working on. For some, miniature work and stuff. You'll be able to enjoy that sooner than later. That was fun. It's my first time.
I wonder why they did the red light.
I'm sure it makes perfect sense. Like, the glare off the moon from the sun would be too bright for their eyes or something like that. So then they use infrared to, like, level it out. I don't know, whatever. I don't think the actual astronauts who landed on the moon ever did anything like that.
So we've got people outside of Clavius,
Mm-hmm.
or are they at a different station watching somebody land at Clavius?
I mean, even the way these triangles and everything, and the way it opens up, that feels very Star Wars to me too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because those look like the ships in Star Wars. From that angle, at least.
That's bonkers.
I know that it's got to be big for the ship, but that seems like a huge waste of... Maybe they don't fill it with oxygen. Maybe they just go from that ship into some other place, so maybe they don't have to depressurize that area. Because I'm like, you got to let all that oxygen out every time you open those doors up. That'd be a huge waste.
That does seem like a waste. Maybe that was like a waiting room.
Yeah. This feels like a model to me. Like the size, because they can't put it next to anything that makes it you think it's huge. So it feels like a very much of a model in this shot to me. Like you need something to reference, right? That always helps.
Yeah.
Like you have the people on the left there. So then you're just like, oh shit, this is a huge room.
Yeah, so they did the waiting room, and now they're bringing them into another smaller room.
Yeah, there you go.
Where they could probably pressurize that, but I don't
Or they
even
just
know
come
about
out from
that.
the bottom, maybe, and that's like a big elevator almost.
See, this shot was very ripped off by the first Star Trek movie. Like, and that was one of my favorite elements of the Star Trek movie, was always having people to in the shot to compare the size of the ships.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Star Trek, the first movie, and if I see it here I'll be mad, is that they had janitors on their space stations.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've never even seen that in the TV shows. Nobody was ever picking up after they crew the Enterprise. But you imagine they would have to. This little camera. I guess that's a camera. Well, there's your doors from Star Trek. But although technically Star Trek would have come up with that first, so 2001 ripped this off from the TV show. There you go. All right, so here now you get some info.
I mean, it was roughly the same time, wasn't it?
Yeah, actually.
Everybody being like, board meetings still suck in the future.
Mm-hmm. Like spending 3 minutes on him talking about the cover story. Like all this stuff could have just been choppy.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, I forget that we're recording and that we need to talk, but
That's fine.
I'm just so into it.
Yeah. like just even like the guy introducing Floyd and then walking all the way around and then watching them walk like in real time. Like just do a quick cut, close cut, and then you could have cut out 5 seconds right there. But he doesn't do that. He's just like, he wants to see everything. Like, just get to it.
It's exciting.
This reminds me of the scene with Jack and the guy when he's getting the job in The Shining at the Overlook Hotel. They just sit in their office talking about nonsense.
Yeah.
Could you just get on with it? Maybe tell us what the event is? I think that'd be a good idea.
I love this just because this is as irritating as meetings are.
Yeah. And then we don't even hear the briefing.
Oh my god, and we just heard the
No.
bureaucracy part?
Yes. What the fuck?
What the fuck is this movie?
I know, it's mind-numbing at times.
Now we're going back to no audio. Oh wait, are they gonna chat?
So we'll hear a little more here. But they had to make the trip from the base to where they actually found the thing in question.
Discovery.
Yeah, the Discovery, which is in the book. It's in the Tycho crater, so it's like a 2-hour trip from their base, which I assume.
So it's not even in the
here.
base, but they had to fake an epidemic in the base for some reason.
Yeah, just to keep people away and to stop asking questions, I guess.
They realize that it's the moon without the ability for germs to be outside.
Sure, but if you traveled to it, you could get sick off somebody and then take it home with you to Earth or something.
Yeah, but they're driving 2 hours away.
I don't know. Well, they don't know. People don't know this. You know, they didn't let that out. Here you go. We get a little more info here. A rare handheld shot, you know, in this movie. It's very clinical. Everything's clinically shot, but this one is a moving shot. It's very weird. Oh, yeah, I'm starved. I'd eat that. Looks like a moon pie.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So that while they were like surveying the moon, there was something giving off just like an incredible amount of magnetic electromagnetism, whatever. That they were like, oh, We got to check this out.
And then they excavated all around it.
Yeah. So
And
he
it was
just
buried
said that
4
it was
million years
deliberately
ago.
buried, and he said 4 million years ago. Yeah. So clearly, this is the very first sign of intelligent life outside of Earth that humans have ever discovered. So that's what they wanted. That's why there's a communication shutdown and everything, and they don't want anybody to know because they just can't say what it is or where it's from, and they want to research it more because they just feel like there would be a panic, or I guess, I don't know, or Earth couldn't handle the news yet without all this info, which is maybe true. I don't know, but
Well, and if it's the Cold War, you have a lot of
Right,
threat
exactly.
of all the other countries.
yeah, which is something the movie doesn't go into, but the book, yeah, it makes it a little more of a thing where the USA wanted to be the first to know all this because they thought it might be the Chinese that buried this here to fuck with them or something like that. So that's a part of the book. But then they carbon dated it to be, in the book it's 3 million years. I don't know why he changed it to 4. But they made it very clear. And they said the way it was constructed, spoiler alert, everybody at home, it's another monolith, by the way.
So it's not the same one?
I don't believe it's the same one.
Okay.
But then again, it might be. Maybe if I'm thinking about it, I don't know. I guess it could be. I don't know. Because at that where we saw the early human species, that could have been 4 million years ago. So maybe it moved from there, and then it was buried on the moon. But the way they said it was designed in a way that it was a perfect construction, like the feet and the inches are a perfect number. It's like it was like 4 by 9 by 1 or something like that. And there's no way that that could have been an accident. So that's another reason why they're like, well, somebody made it and then buried it.
There were 6 guys on that ship. I only saw 3.
Maybe there were a
Very
couple
music.
already there. Yeah, now thinking about it, it's got to be the same one. Like it evolved, it helped evolve humankind on Earth 4 million years ago, and then it was moved and buried on Earth so that millions of years from then, when humanity was at that stage where they would be able to find it and uncover it, it would take the next step.
Right.
As we'll
Like
find out here.
it almost like saw the future, knew when
Right.
humanity was ready to take the next evolutionary step.
Right. And really, like, maybe we never would. Like, that could be what they were thinking as well. But if we do find it on the moon, we're obviously at that point in our evolution where if it sends out a signal, we could follow the signal. And that's what's going to happen here. And in the book, I guess it's more short and squat, but Kubrick wanted something more imposing and something you could shoot up at and stuff like that. So that's why they designed it this way, which I think is a good move.
Yeah, I like it as it is. No matter how advanced we are, we still want to touch it.
You just got to touch things, man.
Yeah.
I don't know about this music. It definitely builds the suspense, but it gets kind of obnoxious. Oh, let's take a photo. That'd be fun. Ear piercing signal coming from Monolith. What is this noise? There you go. 18 months later. So now we're in the year 2001. We weren't even in the year 2001. That was like 1999, right? Jupiter mission.
18 months later.
18 months later. So that's it for Floyd and all of that on the moon.
We don't see Floyd ever again?
No.
Are you kidding?
Well, no, I don't think we see him again, but we hear him briefly at the end of the movie.
That's funny.
And here's David Bowman. So like this, the camera was just stationary, and then it was circling around him, and he's basically just running in place while the thing moves around him. You know, it's just trippy, but it's such a clever way to shoot.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's why he kind of looks like he's running weird. Nope.
Huh. I recognize this actor.
Yeah, Keir Dullea, I think his name is. He's got a weird first name, Keir. Keir Dullea.
And we just saw the rest of the crew.
Yeah, so there's he and Frank are the only two that are awake, and there's, I believe, 3 more that are in suspended animation and hibernation, and for when they reach the when they reach Jupiter. So this guy is actually strapped into the seat there, just for this shot. And as he comes down, they're gonna turn the set. So he would have fell, obviously. So he's actually strapped in, and so they're turning it, and now he's leveling out, which I love that as well.
That's so amazing.
Right. It's a trippy mind thing, man.
And this is an argument that people have, is like, he was such a technically proficient filmmaker, but was he a good storyteller?
Right. And look at that. He's watching like an iPad or an IBM thing. Because it is just sitting there, you know, it's a tablet.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wow.
See, there's so little dialogue in this movie that we gotta listen when it does pop up.
Yeah, that's exactly
Or I
what's happening.
feel like we miss things.
I like that they're breaking down how that works. But this is cheating. Like, I love these classic little ways of explaining what's happening.
Yeah, like an expedition. Is that what it is? Expedition dump, as they call it.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
is he a living AI? Is that what they're saying?
he's an AI. Yeah. So there you go. That's Hal. And they're on a mission to Jupiter. In the book, it was Saturn, but Kubrick couldn't figure out. In the book, it was Saturn that they were going to, not just Jupiter. They were going past Jupiter to Saturn. They were using Jupiter to slingshot further to get more speed. But Kubrick couldn't figure out how to do realistic-looking rings for Saturn on camera. So that's why he decided to make it Jupiter.
I love spaceship design because you don't have to factor in aerodynamics as much.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, the ship itself is probably extremely fragile, but it was built in space, so it's like it doesn't need to be anything more than. It's just got to handle meteors and stuff that might slam into it sometimes, as long as they're not too big. So it's Frank's birthday. Or Dave's birthday, whoever that is. It's hard to tell them apart sometimes.
Right.
I mean, that was another knock against this film, is that his two leads here have, like, no personality whatsoever. But his point is, like, well, this is astronauts. This is how they're supposed to be. But again, like you said, it doesn't make for that much of an exciting film,
I really need to understand the red thing. He's wearing red glasses.
It's some sort of relaxation technique, I guess. I mean, he has no emotional reaction to his parents saying happy birthday. Oh, that is Frank, okay. Thank you. I'm very happy that it's my
It's
birthday.
almost like they're more robots than the robot.
Yeah, right.
Are these guys just gonna die of old age? Like, it's crazy that they're not
Yeah.
sleeping.
Well, so in the book, the way Clarke explains it is that it takes 7 years to get to Saturn. He doesn't know why he's going to Saturn. So they don't know why they're going to Jupiter. No, it's not that long. And once they become a permanent fixture of Jupiter's orbit, another ship would then be sent out to rescue them. So they would spend upwards of 14 years, but they would sleep for the other half of the 7. And then there would be a rescue ship that would pick them up. So they're going to age at least 7 years or more. But that's their mission.
So a year and a half later, they still hadn't told anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So the 3 that are frozen know that there was a signal sent from the moon to Jupiter, to one of the moons of Jupiter's. But these guys don't know, and Hal. Oh,
What are you explaining?
This is important. So, Hal said that the communication thing that controls the communication back to Earth is going to fail. Right. So then they won't have any communication with Earth. So it's got to be replaced. That's basically what he was saying.
Before, though,
the 3 people that are frozen, they know about the monolith and that it sent a signal to one of the moons of Jupiter, and that's what they're going to find. They don't know what they're going to find when they get there. They just know that the signal went there. Okay. That's why they were already in hibernation when they were put aboard the ship, and they had separate training. So Frank and Dave don't know anything about the signal or why they're going to Jupiter. I don't know if it's explained what they do know, because they got to figure out they're going there for some reason, but it's not, and they don't know, they're not privileged with that information. But I think in the book, Hal does know, and I think in the movie, Hal knows why they're going. I think he has that information as well, but it's a little confusing to me that he questioned him about it at all in that last scene.
Maybe it's just testing to see how dumb these two are.
Right.
It's like, did you hear those rumors about the moon, man?
Yeah.
I like that the computer is saying that.
Right.
I mean, just the very simple, different colored spacesuits is pretty nice. The sound effects here almost make you feel a little claustrophobic. You feel like you're in the suit with the guy. Yeah, the loss of oxygen is definitely a thing to think about. Like such a large. Oh, duh, it had to have already been depressurized because he walked in this suit. Never mind. That's a really big satellite dish. That's gigantic. How are they going to fix that? And why is he in a spacesuit just in the ship? I mean, I guess it's just protocol, whatever. Hey, once again, another bold segment where there's no talking. Hey, everyone, we're only halfway through this movie. My biggest problem with this is why did he park his car so far away from the space or from the other ship?
Right. I don't know. You think you would have tethered it or something
You know,
to the
I mean,
main
what's the
ship,
point of
just in
driving a
case.
car out there if you're just going to
Right.
leave it?
That is a good point. Going dark. UV rays. They're going to grab the old one.
Uh, just in case any of you had to take a bathroom break yourselves, about 35 minutes ago, Hal told them that there was something wrong with the dish, and now
35 minutes ago.
now they're fixing it.
And now they're finally doing something about it.
Yeah. Because we spent about 20 minutes with him just walking around in the suit, breathing heavily, which is making me a little claustrophobic. I already said it, but yeah. Just,
Could you wear a spacesuit? Would you wear a spacesuit? You don't want to wear a spacesuit?
I think I could.
Yep. Pull it out. There you go. Nope. Yep. I'm glad we can watch all this real time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's the damaged one.
It's like we're literally watching a live feed of a repair
So-
happening.
Here's an important part. They're analyzing it to see what was wrong with it.
What failed? I don't know. That's weird. Testing the circuits to see if they're broken.
I guess so.
I like that the spacesuits are all different colors.
Right.
We have a red one, a yellow one, a blue one back there.
So he said he can't find anything wrong with it.
That's logical.
It says Hal is wrong. Hal doesn't make mistakes.
So Hell is wrong.
Yeah. But he doesn't make mistakes.
And they came to that conclusion from two different Hells telling them that it was wrong.
Yeah. That did not sound believable.
Nope.
Hal is not stupid. Oh, can you come somewhere with me?
Yeah, can you come with me to check this out or something?
Well, I have a problem in the bathroom. If you could just help me.
Are they gonna get in the pod?
They're going to get in the pod. I could fix that for you, Dave. No, that's okay, Al. I'd rather have Frank look at it, if you don't mind. I mean, he is very menacing, you know? It's just that voice. It just makes him one of cinema's great villains, I guess.
Okay, why are they going in there if he can still hear them?
Well, you just wait a second. Now we won't hear him.
He can read lips. Hal can read lips, can't he?
See, the first time you mentioned that, I was like, well, I'll wait till they show it that he's reading lips before I agree with you. And then you said it again, and I'm still like, well, I'll wait till they show it that he can read lips. But just like this movie always is, it takes for fucking ever to get to that point. Okay, ready? Okay, yep. And then, there we go. Yes. Hal can read lips. So now he knows that they're talking about disconnecting him if he's wrong. Or because he's wrong.
Which?
Intermission. This movie's so long, he even put the words intermission in it.
How long does intermission play?
I don't think too long, but you can still hear the ship, you know? Like, he keeps it going. I think he's giving people a bathroom break. Isn't that funny, though, to put an intermission?
Yeah, I mean, I know movies used to. I've seen a couple movies with intermissions. Oh, Jesus.
Oh. Oh boy.
With subtitles on it was like instrumental music. I was like, okay,
Yeah. So this
I'm not
is
gonna have anything going on for another 25 minutes.
So yeah. Any big mysteries so far? I don't think so. It's pretty self-explanatory at this point.
Yeah, we have.
You just got to infer that that's what the monolith is doing, but there's nothing in the movie telling you that it's not doing what you think it's doing. That's how I feel this movie goes. You know?
I, as the viewer, made no connection to. I mean, there's obviously a connection, but like I had no idea why they were going to Jupiter ever.
Right. It's just that like they heard that signal on the moon, and it was ear piercing. That's it. So you just have to infer that, like, oh, it must have sent a signal, and that's what they're following. But yeah, the movie doesn't tell you that, you know? So you just got to kind of go with it. I think this is what kind of troubled critics a little bit with this movie. You know, just a little bit of the storytelling is lacking in that. It's not too clear. I mean, it could be easily clear, you know? They could have just said that a signal was found, and that's why they've been chasing it. However, you might hear that later in the movie. I can't remember exactly what they say later on, but
yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, maybe this is
but why
that
not know it
storytelling
now?
technique,
You know? Yeah,
where you follow a slice of life of somebody, and you just get that slice of life. You don't get backstory. You just get what's happening.
Yeah, that is kind of nice.
Piece it together on your own. Okay,
which I like. I like that kind of movie. Like you feel more of a main character because you're learning things as they're learning it.
Are we still in the intermission?
We are.
They didn't cut this out of the movie?
Mm-mm. You know what's funny is that the movie is only 2 hours and 25 minutes, and it has an intermission. But now, like, if they make an Avengers movie, it's fucking over 3 hours, no intermission.
Right.
Like, which is a different world.
And
225 was too long for audiences. You had to give them an intermission to go potty.
I could argue that they should add intermissions back in. I mean,
they should.
I usually have.
I mean, why not? But people wouldn't want to miss it. That's why people sit through the credits now, because you don't want to miss the Marvel spoiler or Marvel mid-credit sequences now. You know, there's no time you want to get up and move anymore without thinking that they're gonna throw something that you should have saw.
I'm a big fan of anything that makes audiences stay and read the credits a little more.
Yeah, but do you really read the credits?
Sometimes,
there's so many names. Yeah, that's it though. Back in film school, that's what they would always teach you. Back in the day in film school, you sit through the credits because people worked really hard on these movies. But now we're getting to the point where movies are made by 1,000 people. Like it used to only be like maybe a couple hundred. But there's like 1,000 people now. You can't possibly sit through those credits anymore. The only reason you do is because you just want to get to the post-credit scenes. That's it. But I don't hold it against people if they just want to walk away during the credits. That makes perfect sense to me.
Talking about Marvel real quick, She-Hulk, which is on streaming right now. And every episode has a mid-credit scene.
Okay.
And I think they do that just to be fun, because it's just...
Is it important or is it just fun?
Just fun, mostly.
Okay.
Like, I don't even think there's going to be, like, any kind of twist or mystery or anything. I think this is just going to be a fun show.
Right. So they got to put it back now. The thing that Hal said is going to fail, the other computers back on Earth said it's not going to fail. So Hal's like, well, we better put it back, and if it does fail, we'll know I was right. And if it doesn't, well, there's something wrong with me, which I won't admit, but that's what the crew members feel.
Right.
But all of a sudden, the pod is moving on its own now.
Oh, no.
As Frank is going to put it back in. We finally get some action here. Oh, fuck. Frank just got sent off into space by the pod, slammed into him. And then Dave is like, holy shit. He's already dead. Now, in the book, he doesn't go to get Frank. because he's just gone. Like, it's not worth it to him to go try to rescue Frank. But in the movie, he obviously, as you can see here, goes out and rescues him.
He is so far away.
Mm-hmm. That's foreshadowing for sure. The explosive bolts sign on the back. They made point of showing it twice.
They did.
Yeah.
If Kubrick's repeating himself. Hoo. Put your helmet on, dipshit. I like how cool and collected he is.
Yeah. But that was another hit against it, because it just shows that they like, your main characters have no emotions. They have no personalities. It's hard to watch this movie without characters that have personalities. So I get it, but I understand that like this was Armstrong. Like Neil Armstrong was basically David Bowie. Like he was not the person that everybody thought should be like a representative of Earth, you know, going to the moon and then talking about it, because he just was like a quiet, serious person. But you know, that's what you get with astronauts. Not all of them, but some of them. Anyway, but you know what this shot looks like when they show Dave here? It makes me think of Tony Stark in the Iron Man costume. You know, like this is the precursor to the way they would show their faces in the Iron Man armor.
That's funny. It does look like that.
Yeah, that's how I always thought of this. Or when I saw Iron Man, it always made me think of Bowman in 2001. Because you would see the reflections of stuff off his face. Space is probably freakiest because you can get lost in it, right? Like there's no way to slow yourself down. Like if you don't have some sort of propulsion and you just get pushed in one direction, you'll never stop.
Right.
That's what I think is freakiest about outer space. But if you have propulsion like this pod obviously does, then you'll be okay. You can get back. But Frank did seem to be moving pretty fast to overtake him. But the pod's really zooming.
And Frank doesn't seem to be moving.
I think because that tube he had was disconnected, I think that was his oxygen. So he was pretty much dead almost immediately. I think that's what they were showing. Because he was scrambling quite a lot after the initial hit, but then hasn't been moving ever since. Oh, yeah. It's another slow part. They could have just put the words intermission over this.
Boring.
And then you can come back after intermission.
He would have already defeated Thanos by now.
Right. The funny thing about modern action sci-fi movies is that, like, if you get to like a realistic kind of movie like this, or anything about the actual space program, or the moon landing or anything. You got to like pressurize, and you got to like have course planning and before you rocket off or something like that. But in like any movies with like action sci-fi, they just jump in spaceships and take off. Like it's not a problem. There's hardly any G's. There's no pressure repressurizing anywhere. There's never a fear of oxygen being lost or anything like that. It's pretty funny.
Hal, you're tearing his arms off. I'm sorry, Dave.
What's Hal doing in the meantime? Now, there's a discrepancy here from the book to the movie. And when I first saw the movie, I thought that Hal... First, I always thought that Hal was programmed this way by our own government to kill the other members and get to the planet Jupiter all by himself. But then that, like, the more I thought about it, I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Why would you go through all this trouble? So now I see it as Hal's protecting the mission. He's gone a little crazy, and he's trying to protect the mission so badly that he's killing everybody in his way so he can get to Jupiter and complete the mission on his own. That's what the movie kind of tells me. But the book says that Hal has such guilt over hiding the mission from Dave and Frank that he starts to act in a strange way. He first cuts off communication with Earth, and then he doesn't kill these three people on purpose. When Dave realizes there's something wrong and he's trying to shut Hal down, Hal opens the pod bay doors and sucks all of the oxygen out of the ship, and Dave only has moments before he can get to somewhere safe and put on a spacesuit before he dies. And then the three just die because there's no more oxygen, and it's too cold, and it fucks up all the systems. That's how they die. But in this movie, he like murders them.
Yeah, it feels like he's just trying to defend his life, is what I'm seeing.
It's a little unclear, but I think they're really just saying that his AI he just kind of went a little nuts. That's really all they're basically saying. Kind of a commentary on like giving too much power to computers, that this could be our future someday with AI, that they could just go crazy.
I don't like to say that he's crazy. They were talking about killing him.
That's what
he's
I feel like.
defending himself.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. You're right.
You could say please.
That's definitely a famous line. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Okay, now I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
He thinks that all the humans are going to stop this mission from happening, and he thinks it's a really neat mission.
I guess so. But you're right in that he's mostly defending himself. He's going a little psycho because he knows that they're going to shut him down once they find out that he made a mistake. But all he was trying to do was disconnect communication with Earth because he's just trying to protect the mission, that he felt like that might interfere, I guess. I don't know.
You could even argue that
So Dave didn't bring a space helmet with him, which doesn't seem very Dave-like. Although you could argue that he was in a little bit of a state of panic because he was trying to go rescue Frank, so maybe he just forgot his helmet. But that does seem like kind of something he wouldn't have done, out of character.
So earlier in the movie, Hal is talking to them and he's trying to bring up the mission.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like he was so into the mission he wanted to gossip. So maybe he was trying to disconnect communication with Earth so that he could freely talk about the mission with those two. And then it got screwed up. So maybe like this whole movie is about Hal being kind of a gossipy bitch.
I mean, really, the book makes it seem like he just had this guilt that just got to him so much about having to keep the mission from the guys that it made him act in a strange way. And then once, he found out they were going to disconnect him, or they had that on their minds, he took drastic measures to protect the mission. So this doesn't appear in the book at all, but I do think this is one of the most exciting parts, just seeing how Dave has to get back into the ship in a very dangerous way because Hal won't open the pod bay doors. So I think this was a nice change for the movie. It makes it a little more exciting. Because in the book, once he disconnects Hal, you'll see in the movie, we cut to the end. But in the book, Hal's just disconnected, and then he's got a couple more months on the ship before he gets to, in the book, Saturn, but for here, Jupiter. So then it's like... It's kind of weird reading the book because I'm like, oh, then he doesn't have Hal anymore, but he still has to go on with the mission. So all that work, and he just has to let Frank go. Sorry. See you later. Maybe you'll get to Jupiter before we do. You'll be the first man to Jupiter. Congratulations.
Do you think he knew for sure that he was dead?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He was talking to Hal about life signs, too, and he said there's no life signs.
Oh, I wasn't listening.
Yeah. It was just one thing. As he was getting the pod ready, he just threw it out there. I think life sign, or there's been no communication for the past couple minutes, things like that. Right. I like these pods. They're a little ugly, but they're kind of cute in their own way. Maybe he'll have to use those explosive bolts. Maybe that'll come in handy.
No, explosive bolts, you say?
Yes. I'm telling you, though, there's no way he would have forgot a space helmet. He's too much of a calculating kind of person, even in a moment of panic. That's what it would have sounded like if it wasn't.
So Hal can control the robot, though. How is he letting him do this?
Maybe there's just a switch inside the pod that says, like, manual control.
Maybe, yeah.
I like how he turns it and the door opens. That's nice. Manual. Can't override that. Just get on with it. God damn.
So what's happening now? Well, he's turning at this is like watching a live NASA
space launch. Yeah, exactly. Let us pack this thing up here, close as I can get. Looks pretty good. Oh,
it's really
this is gonna be
exciting.
fun. He could die.
He is really freaked out.
I think you could only survive for a couple of seconds in space before just the cold would kill you unprotected.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a good sound. Okay, well, this is going to suck. Is there anything he can wrap his head in? I don't know. Just to protect it a little bit? Hold your breath.
Yep.
This is a little rough, just having to use wires and stuff. He should have tried to get the vomit comet, as they call it, that the NASA uses. It's the spaceship or the airplane that they go up and down, and it simulates gravity or it simulates weightlessness. That's how they train astronauts. And like they used it in Apollo 13 to shoot that movie, and they've used it a whole bunch of times.
Yeah,
but I guess he didn't have access. Well, he wouldn't have went to Houston to do it, so.
I love that he's got a green helmet on.
Just had to grab one, I guess. At least he was smart enough to put on a helmet this time, knowing that he could probably turn off all the oxygen and stuff. I love that this is Hal, this is like his brain. It's huge.
Yeah. Stop. Stop, Dave. Stop, Dave.
And that these things just slide out in order to be shut off, like futuristic circuit breakers. I love that. It's just such a good design, this whole room.
We're watching something get murdered right here, and it's just...
It's more like euthanized.
Stop. I'm afraid.
My mind is going, Dave.
I imagine the astronaut training and in the impossible situation when your AI goes rogue and tries to kill you.
Yeah.
This is what you have to do to restore control of the ship.
Right. It's very cumbersome way to disconnect it. The other thing I read is that Kubrick made it 92 because he wanted him to be a 9-year-old. So he would have like that kind of mind, almost a childlike mind sometimes. Daisy. 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 Give me your answer to. I always sing this to my kids. In that voice, of course. Daisy. Daisy.
Oh my God.
Slow death.
Yeah, at this point, he has stabbed it like 100 times.
Yeah. Here you go. I think this is Floyd. So that's why I always thought that they planned Hal to kill everybody. This is why I inferred it, because once he shut Hal down, it initiated the message. But I think it's just a coincidence that the message turned on at that exact moment, because he said, now that you enter Jupiter space.
Yeah.
I think that's what makes more sense to me now. Because I'm like, why would they have Hal go crazy and kill everybody? I don't understand why that was part of the mission.
So now he's to Jupiter.
Yeah, so he's at Jupiter, and
Is that a monolith?
There is another monolith here, and supposedly this is like its big brother. It's supposed to be even bigger than the other one, just floating around Jupiter. and he's rendezvousing with it. Like, that's where the signal was going to. I assume those are all moons of Jupiter. Jupiter's got a lot of moons.
It's true. I think it does. Everything seems to be moving on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Is this where the movie stops making any sense? I made a joke. Again, I haven't seen this in like 20 years, but I made a joke that the ending of this movie is Kubrick metaphorically just playing a long guitar solo. You're supposed to just
I know, I loved that.
and enjoy the
Kubrick's
ride.
guitar solo. No, I think it still makes sense, but I like how you called it that.
I don't understand that shot. Like, I don't know if that's animation or what it is.
I think it's just everything was just a composite. Like, they'd shoot one thing and they'd shoot another and then they'd slap them together.
It just looks so good.
Yeah. Well, this is like, they had the money at the time to do it, and they had the care, and they had the artistry behind it. So nothing was rushed, and he wasn't satisfied until it looked perfectly fine. And really, I think the worst looking thing in the movie is when Dave gets blown back into the ship. I think that doesn't look good, and I wish he would have spent more time on that, but maybe he just tried to do all he could, but working with wires, that's the best they could do.
I thought it looked good.
But I'm sure he was like not happy with it. He just doesn't move naturally. It's just weird how he's thrown around. I don't know.
Okay, so he's going out in a pod.
Yeah, so he goes on a pod, and I think it's so big that he basically just tries to land on it, and that's when it opens. That's when it opens up, and it becomes a wormhole, basically a Stargate, if you will, taking him somewhere. And again, coming up with this effect, just a real visual effect that they could shoot and manipulate, was fascinating. Like, I don't think anybody had ever seen anything like this. But yeah, he's just going through a wormhole of some sort. Because the book does a fun job of talking about all the scientists' theories about how could intelligent life forms even reach Earth? Or where would they come from? And there's they just all assume there's no way they could come from our solar system because there's just nothing that would supply Earth or life other than Earth, So one of the theories is like there has to be some sort of space hopping wormhole. Like that'd be the only way for other intelligent life to reach our planet. Because it would just take millions and millions and millions of years to travel the galaxy, you know?
And so this is the wormhole.
Yeah. They call it the Stargate.
Traveling somewhere.
Somewhere.
And he's traveling somewhere because of the monolith that he found at Jupiter.
Yeah, in the book, he tries to land on the monolith, and as he almost is about to reach it, it like opens up, and all he sees is stars, and then it becomes the Stargate. So, for as much as we get to watch things turn around and right themselves, and Kubrick spends so much time on monotonous stuff, he kind of just cuts to the chase as far as showing why he enters a wormhole. We don't even know why. He just all of a sudden is in it. So I'm like, all right. But it's a trippy effect.
Yeah.
Oh, in fact, coming out in 1968, that was part of the marketing scheme. Is that they called it the ultimate trip, mostly because of this sequence. Like it was a way to get the hippies into it and all in the drug culture. I think he's like in another galaxy. Alpha Centauri. What is that called? The one that's closest to us?
Yeah.
Still billions of miles away, but yeah. Or Centauri, something like that. Maybe that's the one.
That looks like something flying.
I feel like it's just oil and water. Barbarella did that. Oil and water. That was their space.
Really?
That's the way they made space. They were just doing weird lava lamps, basically. It was a nice effect. I love Barbarella for as silly as it is.
Yeah, I like it.
That's a beautiful looking film. It's a crazy movie. And she's so hot. in that movie.
Yeah, I remember 20-year younger me not being super impressed by this. And
it's a lot to sit through, that's for sure.
Yeah, older me is just kind of cool with observing.
Mm-hmm. Like, I was happy with the Stargate. Like, he could have just kept that and then cut from the gate itself to the next scene instead of going through all this stuff, I
mean, what is this stuff?
I don't know. Is it supposed to be other
are we just
galaxies?
Getting a sense of what it looks on the other side?
Yeah, I don't know. This just seems extraneous to me. Like, the flying lights were cool. Should just kept it at that.
Is that the pod?
I guess it could be.
How does it have a trail?
Yeah. And also the book basically says that the intelligent life that did contact us, they've transcended bodies and physical form. It's all about, they're just energy, basically. It's kind of, it doesn't say it for sure, but that's what they believe it to be. Like, it just, they're so evolved that they have no need for physical forms anymore. And that's what they're trying to take humanity. I guess so. I don't know. No, we're just seeing him traveling still, I believe.
This is what I was talking about with his long fucking guitar solo.
Mm-hmm.
And Jesus Christ.
See, and now I think we actually see Earth like the way they shot it. And now they're just manipulating actual flybys. And that's what I don't care for as much. Because the lights looked spacey and supernatural, whereas this just seems like a negative of Earth. You know what I mean? Like this.
Right,
I'm not too big on this.
Yeah, that's totally what we're seeing.
Yeah, like this is the Grand Canyon. Like, you don't need this.
This is suggesting that he's landing, though. That's a nice...
I guess so, yeah. Like he's going to another planet or something.
But this also kind of reminds me of the beginning.
Like on Moon.
I mean, not anymore, but like the desert landscape of the monkeys.
A little bit.
All right, Kubrick.
You're really pushing it. Again, I would have cut this out. I just think it looks too Earth-like.
So let me try to summarize this story.
Yeah, go ahead.
A labyrinth. What's the word?
Labyrinthian?
The tall cylinder thing.
The tall cylinder thing? Oh, the monolith.
I'm sorry, what?
Monolith?
Monolith.
Not a cylinder, it's
a monolith
block.
Started evolution for monkeys into humans. Millions of years later, humans find a monolith on the moon. It sends a signal to Jupiter. They go to track it. Some shit happens on the flight, and once they track it, they're transported to a weird other universe. And that's where we're at. Pretty short story.
Galaxy. Pretty much. But what happens next? You know,
who fucking knows? I think the movie's just gonna cut to black and credits.
Oh, there's another whole big section here. You just wait. Do you remember?
There's only 13 minutes left.
Do you remember the next portion?
Not really, no. I don't remember this movie at all.
That's fun. Good. Well, that's fun.
I'm gonna be pissed, aren't I?
No. You'll be just as interested as you are now.
Okay, so we're on this planet. Are you gonna land, Dave? Are you?
I don't think it's under his control anymore.
He's just along for the ride. Music continues.
Eyeball.
It's the only reason we know he's still there and alive.
Yep. Wait for it. You're going to see some shit after this.
Holy shit.
There you go. Do you remember this part?
Oh, Dave, snap out of it, bud. You can do this.
Hey, if you just took an interdimensional gateway, you'd probably be a little fucked up too. We are now in an old Victorian bedroom.
So that entire thing was the gateway, and he just kind of appears at his destination, and it's a bedroom.
Mm-hmm. With some pretty fancy lighting coming from the ground.
True.
And what I believe this to be is that the intelligent life forms are using his own memories or things they've gathered from Earth to try to make him feel at ease and comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's aging as well. So now he's an old man, which is bizarre. But what I believe to be happening
there's no ship
is
anymore?
that he's just he's very quickly evolving. They're preparing him for his next evolutional step. So he's finishing his life off in a matter of moments. That's how I've always taken it. That's why he's an old man now. But he's still in his spaceship, or he's still in his space suit. Or the trip took that long that he's an old man. But when they showed him in the pod, he didn't look any older. It wasn't until he's outside the pod now that he looks older. So I don't know.
I mean, my hair is gray now. That's how long the trip was.
Yes. You did start. Like, you had no gray hairs when we started this movie. But suddenly. Also in the book, he spends a lot of time in the kitchen eating the food they have. But it's all this, like, Jello, blue Jello in all the boxes, even though it's stuff he would know from Earth. But everything inside, like he has cornflakes, but it's all just this blue Jello. And then he even takes a shower.
So he's actually there in the book. This
Yes.
isn't in his mind or anything.
No, he's actually there. But he understands that he's being watched and that the aliens have created this world for him from his own memories and from what they've learned of Earth to try to make him feel comfortable.
You know, I kind of think the trip just took that long.
Maybe. But he didn't look that way in the pod.
We didn't
I don't
see him
think.
very much, though.
He's a
We
little
saw,
fucked
his
up. He was kind of
eyes.
shaken. But but you notice the rings around there, the lines on his eyes now, the crow's feet and everything, like very it stands out now, but you didn't really see that in the pod. That's all. But I love the way Kubrick cuts this time together. Like he's seeing himself. Like he saw himself outside the pod, cut to him out of the pod. He's older. And the pod's gone. And now he sees himself here.
And this is what happens in the book.
No, actually it's in reverse. He becomes he grows younger in the book. But this one, he goes older. So he saw himself and now we cut to, and now he is that person, basically. Like this is now who we're following. I just like that.
It's
the way he cuts
unique. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't believe the spacesuit is there anymore. Like, this is just who we're following now. Pretty good old man makeup.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought
I want them to pull off making an old man looking young again using makeup.
Yeah. Yeah, in the book, he just slowly gets younger. But he eats, he takes a shower, and he's tired. He lays down in the bed. And as he sleeps, he starts to get younger until he's a baby, is what happens in the book. But I like this better. I like that he gets older and he's like finishing his life almost. And he's more active. Or it's real time. Maybe he's been here. Maybe he's slowly gotten older over another 40 years or something. Time has no meaning to a higher evolved species, I guess.
Oh, this is messing with me, man.
Mm-hmm. It's almost gone. Deathbed. There it is. The monolith.
What the fuck?
He's at the end of his journey. This is the next stage. This is the moment of his evolution from human to something else. A baby in a bubble.
Jesus Christ.
Star Child, as they call it. Creepy.
Dave turned into a baby?
He turned into the Star Child, which is a baby. And he's coming back to Earth.
He's coming back to Earth?
Yeah.
Is he as big as the Earth?
I don't think so. I think he was as big as the bed that he was on, you know, in relation to it. See, I like the model and everything, but the fact that it doesn't move is kind of a little weird to me. But I guess they couldn't make something that, like, it's not even blinking, right? It's little. It's hard to believe he's active. That's it. The end. So, in the book,
Jesus Christ.
he becomes the Star Child, and he's so evolved that in the blink of an eye, in one thought, he traveled from the galaxy he was in back to Earth. Like, immediately. He could just make it happen. And while he's above the Earth, this is the very last page of the book, while he's above the Earth, one of the missile spaceships, you know, that holds all of the Soviets' nuclear weapons is approaching him, and he explodes it. Like, just with a thought. He just explodes it in space. And it says something clever about how, like, he created a false dawn for the newly awakened people of Earth. And he realizes the godlike powers he has, but he doesn't know what to do with them. And then it says he would have to think a moment, but he would think of something. And that's how the book ends. So I'm like, okay. So to me, there wasn't any hidden meaning behind it that I never inferred from watching the movie. I was like, okay, he just got evolved into the next stage of whatever humans are supposed to become. That's it. That's it. And he's all powerful or something. So I guess he came back to Earth to rule everyone.
So let me re-summarize. A big monolith makes monkeys smart, turns them into humans. 4 million years later, the same monolith leads people to Jupiter, where there's a bigger monolith that sends them across the universe and essentially just evolves them to their next stage, which is the Star Child. The end.
You got it. Perfect. Yeah. So it's really not even that confusing. I think it does confuse a lot of people, but I think the confusing part is that it's so long that nobody finishes it. And that's why they walk away confused.
I think the confusing part is that people expect a story to mean something.
Well, but I mean, as far as just a 2.5 hour use of your time, it works as a film because it's interesting to watch. It keeps you guessing, and ultimately it ends you knowing what the hell was going on, even if it's not a big story in your mind, but you still figure it out, I think.
Like,
but it's slow.
This is almost like one of those Kubrick was like, I wonder what the meaning of life is. And then he just makes up some nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is the answer to the meaning of life. To become Starchild and rule over.
Thus spoke Zarathustra. There you go. That's what that song is called off the top. And the end.
Oh. Well, yeah.
Well, there you go, everyone. That was 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, I don't know next to anything about this movie. I just want to know something. We can talk about the background of the movie when we do the sequel.
Probably, because we'll have to do a little. You'll have to give your 30-second rundown of the first movie when we do the next one, which works pretty well.
Yeah, pretty easy to recap. So this movie had a budget of $10 million and made 146. Is that right?
Yeah, it was huge, man. It was a big hit.
How is this a big hit? What
Nobody
the fuck
had
were they
ever
on in the 60s?
seen anything like it, and Kubrick was even a name then. After doing Dr. Strangelove.
Holy shit!
So people were interested in what he was doing.
That.
And it was marketed well as a trippy psychedelic film. So the hippies in the heads came out to check it out.
The music is still playing in the background as we digest this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even on the screen anymore. So yeah, how do you rank this film? How do you like it?
I don't know. What's the ranking system?
I don't know. Just 5 stars.
Compared to other movies?
No, just what's your rating?
Out of 5? 5 stars? I give it 5 stars.
I know,
I mean, how could you not just say this is one of the best classic films of all time? It doesn't mean it's and it's only personal taste that things bother me. I mean, I'm not going to say he erred in any way. Like, this is exactly the movie he wanted to make. So it's a perfect film. But personal taste might decide other parts of it don't work and do work. But I think everybody's wrong to say that this isn't a classic. That's all.
Well, no, this is totally a classic. God, Kubrick is a lot more like David Lynch than I thought. Like, people have really strong opinions about him just because of the way that he tells stories and how you have to interpret that on your own. And I mean, he's not as bad as David Lynch. I don't like that comparison because Lynch is just crazy.
but Lynch is amazing. What movies haven't you seen of Lynch? Like, have you seen Blue Velvet?
No, I haven't seen.
Okay,
I've seen next to
well, you
none.
should check out Blue Velvet because that it's bizarre, but I think it will like make you think like, wow, holy shit, like this guy's good. Or even Lost Highway, Mulholland Drive, like those are good films.
I think 25 years ago I saw Lost Highway, but that was it.
Yeah, or even the Straight Story, the that he made with Richard Farnsworth. I mean, like that's a good film. They're all good. They're a little slow at times, but Blue Velvet might be his best. But it's fucked up. Dennis Hopper is fucked up in that movie, as you would expect him to be.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
But yeah, that was 2001: A Space Odyssey. Tune in next week as we cover 2010 Daddy's Home.
Say next week.
Or next
Have you
episode.
even posted?
Have
you even posted the thing I gave you?
I'm gonna post it in a few minutes.
Well, I thought last Sunday was the day because I got it for you on that Saturday. I thought that's the way it works.
You got it on that Saturday? I thought it was like Tuesday.
Yeah. No,
I don't really pay
think
that
I
much
gave it to you
attention.
that Saturday.
Anyway, tune in
so I was
next
expecting to see it that Saturday, but I didn't see it.
Next episode, when we talk 2010 Daddy's Home, where we get to find out what happened to Starchild from somebody who cares about having a.
I don't know what we get to find out. I don't know if it has anything to do with Starchild or not.
I love that thought that it's just a completely different.
Although I think the picture has the Starchild on it, so I guess we'll have to find out.
I don't know. Yeah. total mystery.
I'd give him the balls to go ahead and make a sequel to Kubrick's film. Unless they just considered them making the movie of the book. But I imagine you can't make a sequel to 2001 the book without, obviously. It's the same with The Shining. If you're going to make a movie version of the book The Shining, or if you're going to make a sequel, to The Shining book, you got to obviously talk about the movie. Like, you can't not fit it in there.
Right.
Because it's so famous.
Yeah. Well, anyway, man, I think we should call that a day.
Oh, that was a long one.
That was really long. It's like the afternoon now.
Glad I had the recliner.
I'm a little jealous. My butt hurts.
Hell I am.
Thank you for listening. Please remember to follow us on social media, review our podcast, tell your grandmas about us. Aaron?
Yeah, no, that's all. That's all I got.
Okay.
Let's have some brunch. It's brunch time.
It's definitely brunch time. Okay, fuck off. I'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Hey, I think fuck off should be my new exit line. Okay, fuck off. I'll talk to you later, man.
And remember, fuck off.
Yes.
Bye-bye.